Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. We appreciate you guys coming on, and thank you for that. We want to say hello to a few friends here as we start the program as per usual. And let's say hello to Andrea, number one today, Mike from Norland. And let's see if Brahim comes up here. Madeleine, how are you? Kippawa, Quebec Nativity, right at the top. Janice, Brampton, how are you guys? We appreciate you. Hi, Rosalinda from the Kidneys of Canada. Niagara Falls, Elaine, Sandy, Vancouver, Washington, John, Elgin, Illinois, Donna from Park Hill, Fran from Orangeville, sunny Orangeville, how's that? Norma, Texas, Jeanette, bonjour, Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Lynn from Aurora, Dave, Muskoka, John, Wyoming, how are you? And Cheryl, West Virginia, Dave from Gilmore, Jude, Troy, New York, Marl, Ottawa, and Nick from our staff, Maria, Oshawa, Karen, good morning, Peterborough, Gloria from New York, and Paul, how are you? And Marianne from London, Ontario, Jeanette, and Linda, oh, Linda, we love those Lindas, Kathy, and Catherine, Newfoundland, Gary from Bolton, good morning, Gary, Diane, Thunder Bay, thank you for coming on, Barb, hello, Wendy from London, and Wanda from Virginia, Kelly, good morning, London, Ontario, Brahim, what happened to you? Marilyn, hi, PEI, Donna from Newfoundland, and Lisa Marie, good morning to you. Sharon said she's in the clouds. Joanne, Elmira, good morning. Judy, Port Perry, and Marlene, good morning to you. Couple of more. Wendy says it's cold in the clouds. Francis, Vaughn, Leslie from Thunder Bay, Mary, 0 degrees in PEI, Lori in Cambridge, Lee's, Haileybury, Rose, Brampton, Kathy, Port Perry. I hate to miss any of you. Keith, how are you, my friend? Wendy and Carol, Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. Sue, good morning from Bolton. Francis Marie. Rita, Barry, 2 more. Janet, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Doris from Kitchener. Elaine, I lied. I said 2 more. Evangeline, and Brahim's in the clouds. Brahim, I don't know what happened to you this morning. Kevin, there you are, my friend. How are you? IT. Okay. I want to bring you, this came out of Nature, okay? Nature magazine. A new study, 500,000 people, okay? And here's the headline on this. I like it because we've been talking about, actually we talked about this the other night on our question and answer Q&A webinar. I hope you guys liked that. I know you did. And thank you for all that were able to join us. And then, yeah, we will make that available, okay? For those who weren't able to come on with us the other night. Listen to this, okay? This is following 500,000 people. A new study says lifestyle is a stronger predictor of aging and mortality than genetics, okay? Now, you guys know this. I know this, but, okay, pharmaceutical companies, they tried to changed the whole narrative about disease, okay? And listen, when I was in school, this whole start of genetics was really starting to come into play. Genetics. Cancer is genetics. Heart disease, genetics. Diabetes, genetics. Okay? And all the research, even in Alzheimer's, genetics. And that was the big factor. It was your genes. It was your parents, your grandparents, your lineage. Okay? But we've been very consistent here at The Doctor Is In. Very consistent. Genetics load the gun. Lifestyle pulls the trigger. Meaning that, yeah, genetics has an effect, for sure. Okay? You want to, you want, like insurance companies, it's unfortunate, but they still do this, okay? They want to know your family history. You got heart disease in your family? You got cancer in your family? Your rates are going to reflect that, okay, generally. But research is showing, well, it's not really true. Genetics are a factor, but they're not the biggest factor. The biggest factor is your lifestyle. You can override genetics, okay? And I always use the example of my family, diabetes coming out the wazoo, okay? And I understood that. But lifestyle is the key. It really is the key. It overrides genetics, And so, your grandpa might have lived till he was 110, smoked, drank, did it whatever he felt like. But that don't mean that's gonna happen to you. And this is why our whole program here is about lifestyle. It's about making choices, especially with us, food, right? Food. We start there. It's the foundation. And guess what? Research, 500,000 people looking at the genetics said, nah, it's more lifestyle by a big percentage. So isn't that great, guys, that we can, to some extent, are in control of that? Okay? Like, there ain't no guarantees except that we are going to die. We are going to age. But at the rate that happens, and, we can, to some extent, have an effect on that. What I'm saying is, it's worth it. Any change that you make, any beneficial change that you make, it's worth it. And this is why, in my practice, for years and years and years, you had a plan. My patients had a plan. They had a protocol. I would give them a protocol depending on their condition. And again, I was a food guy. And so it always started with food. You got to eat. Everybody has to eat. And I tried to convince my patients that if they ate the proper way, what their body was designed for, that they would benefit from that. And, certainly the results I got with diabetics, with people with insulin resistance, people that 93% of the population had some form of metabolic syndrome, including elevated triglycerides, low HDL, belly fat, high blood pressure, elevated A1C, blood sugar, and insulin, we were able to change that. We were able to change that. Now, when I say we, I gave them the plan, but they had to go home and implement it. Okay? They had to go home and implement it. You know, I always said this. The gyms are full in January and then they empty out in February. If you ask any gym owner, they'll agree with that. Now, gyms, you know, I'm happy they're busy. I'm happy they're doing well. But it amazing how many people sign up because it's their New Year's resolution to get healthy. And, I didn't know it was going to be so hard. I didn't know that wasn't going to be, you know, first day was fun, but the second day, not so much. Right? Any change, guys, in your lifestyle is difficult. Okay? Any change in your lifestyle is difficult. And, you know, I'm a 3-week guy. Okay, 30 days, but I'm a 3-week guy in terms of forming habits. And lifestyle is habits. And one of the reasons the reset is so successful is because it's 30 days. You go past the 21 days. It takes 21 days to form a habit. And I learned enough psychology in university to know it takes about 6 weeks to cement that habit. Cement it into your craw so that you live it. Right? And, you know, now we know. We know what we already knew. That lifestyle is huge, guys. And the other night when we were on the program, you know, my son and I, we you know, somebody was asking the question. I said, well, if your A1C, for example, is at about 5.8, and I said, well, here's what you should know. You and carbs don't get along. Put that in the bank. You and carbs don't get along. And by the way, most people, they don't get along with carbs. They fool themselves. Okay? They fool themselves. They deceive themselves because a lot of people go around in this world and to them, these are foods that I like and that's the way I'm going to stick to. I love pasta. By the way, so do I. I love pasta. I married an Italian. I love pasta. But pasta don't love me. Pasta don't love me. I live on meat. I don't live on the noodle. Don't live on the noodles. Don't live on the spaghetti or the penny or whatever. I don't care if it's whole wheat, triple grain or whatever it is. It's going to be sugar in 5 seconds. You got to figure out one of the biggest things in lifestyle is to find out for yourself that you and carbs don't get along. I'm not even suggesting that you eat a carnivore diet the rest of your life. I'm not even suggesting that. You could, but I don't suggest it. I never suggested it to patients. That they could never have a carbohydrate in their life. I never did that to people because I always gave people a plan to succeed, not to fail. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. You want to go out for a meal and have some pasta? Okay, but don't live on it. Don't live on it. You don't need it. Your body doesn't need it to survive. Okay? Your body was designed to eat eggs, meat, and cheese. Make that a priority in your life. And I mean that. Don't make vegetables a priority. You can eat them, but you can't live on them. Well, you shouldn't live on them. You could live on them. Some people do. But they're not doing the right thing. Okay? They're not doing the right thing because your body wasn't designed for that. Your body was designed to eat eggs, to eat meat, and lots of it. And dairy, the good dairy, like cheese and butter and cream and yogurt, Greek plain. Okay? Like dairy's good, guys. Don't ditch dairy. But isn't that an interesting study? You know, they're finally coming out and saying it. We've looked at it. Genetics are a factor, but they're not the primary factor. What's the best thing you can do? Start with food. And then vitamin E, exercise. Okay? Exercise. You want to talk about habits. How about what you drink? That was a big thing in my office. I used to get patients. I said, look, here's what I want you to ditch. Okay? Listen, Linda. Listen, Larry. Here's what I want you to ditch. What? Ditch any other drink other than coffee or water or Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie. I'm giving you 3 options. Never drink juice. Stop it. Don't drink it anymore. You don't need it. Your body wasn't made to drink juice. Your body was made to drink water, not juice. Don't wean kids on juice. If you want to give them a protein, high fat smoothie for their brain. Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie. You can use a few berries in there. Okay? But you're meant to eat fruit and not drink fruit. You can eat fruit. I'm not against fruit at all. Okay? For 30 days, yes. Because I want to get you off the Titanic. So people that are on the Titanic, they don't get to have any sugar, including, natural fruit sugar. I don't want that for 30 days. I don't want that. And they're shocked by some of the things that I tell them. But I say, well, listen, you gotta understand where I'm coming from. I want you off everything that I'm talking about. Why? Because I want you to correct your insulin. It's a hormone that wants you dead. Insulin is a hormone that will make you sick, very sick, if you don't control it. Your body was not designed for the food that we eat today. Okay? People are carboholics. People are eating seed oils in the middle aisles of their grocery store, including cereals. And your body wasn't designed for that. For the amount of carbs and the grains. You weren't designed for that. And so lifestyle, guys, if you do nothing else, then you understand it. I know my audience is a very educated audience, know more about nutrition generally than their family doctors, all doctors. And you guys know these things, but for the new people that are on with us, I'm telling you that the research is clear Genetics are a factor, but they're not the main factor. And we have a huge responsibility to take care of ourselves. You know, I've always been a guy that talked about the terrain versus the bacteria or the viruses are outside factors, okay? What I meant to say by that, and I've always been like this, take care of yourself. You do it. You take care of yourself. If you can't convince anyone else, well, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't necessarily make them drink it. But you do it. You get off the Titanic. You eat properly. You emphasize eggs, meat, and cheese. What was I reading about eggs this morning? Here's a study. And you know what? Go to the grocery store and the price of eggs and even the scarcity of them. Oh, it gives me a migraine. It gives me a migraine. They're wiping out the bird flu, so they're killing all the chickens. Oh, anyway, don't get me going. Listen to this study on eggs, okay? 1 to 2 eggs a week on this study. 1 to 2 eggs a week. 47% decrease in dementia in a study of 1,024 older men. Just eat eggs. And they're only talking about 1 or 2 eggs a week. For heaven's sakes. How about 1 or 2 eggs a day? What will that do for you? But you see, your body was designed for that. Your body was designed for eggs. You know, it's almost nature's perfect food. I just put it slightly under a steak. Just slightly. You're designed to eat it. Eat eggs. Get cracking. I like that commercial. Get cracking. 1 to 2 eggs a week, 47% decrease in dementia according to this study of 1,024 older men. Are we right on this program to emphasize eggs, meat, and cheese? Yep, we're right. We're right. And the more research comes down the pipes, it's just going to tell us what we already know. You want to be healthy, you need nutrient-dense food. Your body was designed for it. All the vitamins and all the minerals, all the macros, and very low carb. You want protein, you want fat. And I'm not saying no carb, but low carb. That's the way you should eat. Okay? That's the way you should eat. And it's a lifestyle. It becomes part of your DNA if you do it long enough. You know, I like I said, you know, my dad had such a huge influence in my life in many ways. One of them, I've told you the story 1,000 times, but it's because he was a diabetic. Sugar diabetes. Until they changed the name, that's what it was called. It was called sugar diabetes before they turned it to type 2. Why did they do that? Well, the food industry didn't want you to call it sugar diabetes. The soda industry didn't want you to call it sugar diabetes. Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they got about half of the food industry. They own the food industry. The tobacco people invested. Philip Morris invested. They took all their money out of tobacco and bought food. bought big food companies. Do you think they wanted you to talk about sugar diabetes? They didn't want you talking about sugar diabetes. They wanted you to talk about type 2 diabetes. And by the way, that's genetics. Brought to you by Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola, Philip Morris, tobacco. Yeah, that's what they did, guys. I watched it. I'm old enough to tell you I watched it happen. Like I said, my dad had a big influence on my life. One day, when we found out he was a diabetic, the family, my dad said, son, to me, it's sugar diet. Because I was questioning his lifestyle changes. I said, Dad, what the? What are you doing? I was 16 years old. What are you doing, Dad? Well, it's sugar diabetes, son. I don't have sugar anymore. What? And I'm exercising, starting today. Okay, what's exercise? I was an athlete, okay? But jogging wasn't invented yet. My dad invented it. But guys, it's not rocket science. It's if you understand who was behind the push of genetics being the root cause of disease. If you understand that, I always said, well, yeah, but they have a vested interest. I went to school, imagine, learning nutrition, even in those days, moderation. And I said, well, not really. Okay? I questioned my professors. Some of them, by the way, were very, very smart. But I questioned that. Like, I watch my dad. Diabetics can't live on moderation. Diabetics shouldn't have any sugar. They have an allergy to sugar. They have an allergy to carbs. I knew that in the 70s. Diabetes is an allergy to carbs. Hello? And anywho, lifestyle is a stronger predictor of aging, and we're all going to age, and mortality, and we're all going to die, than genetics. That is a huge headline, guys. That is huge. Okay? Got the memo? Okay. I'm glad you did. Okay. What's Friday? Question and answer Friday. Okay? Q&A Friday. Tomorrow, afternoon session. Okay? PM, 4 p.m. Eastern. Okay? 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. We will, I don't know exactly when, we'll post that webinar, okay, and the questions. Maybe I'll just download these questions and answer them, the ones that we couldn't the other night. I think Tony Jr. was telling me last night that we answered 39 questions. That's good. Okay, in our session the other night. Okay, guys. Okay, I got to breathe because I get all excited when I get these kind of studies. Well, we love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.